Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. Front end of the store, back of the store, the middle of the store, even upstairs in the office. It doesn't really matter. The better we all get at what we do, the better the experience for everybody. And I am really excited this evening. I'm always excited because I'm just one of those happy kind of guys. But I have my buddy Gene Girdley on the show today. Been looking forward to this, Gene. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Now, I think the world knows who you are. There might be one or two people that don't. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background, and then we'll jump right in, man.
Okay, well, I'm not sure how far back you want to go, but if we're sticking to all things automotive, my first entrance into the automotive world was becoming a gas station attendant in Bellevue, Washington, 1976 at Dave Swap Chevron. And he taught me how to fix cars, taught me how to do, I think I write in my book something like, in My Cousin Vinny, where she says, brake relinings and tune-ups and all that kind of stuff. He taught me how to do all the basics. And I think you and I were talking before the show about how fun it was to hear that bell go off. And then we would run out to greet the customer. And I think the fun part about that was just seeing and learning the fundamentals of customer service, because at least my boss, Dave Swap, he focused on the customer and checked the oil every time, popped the hood every time, checked the lights every time, had him crank the wheels every time and check the tires, checked the oil, showed him the dipstick. Yeah. So that's where I got my start there. Yeah.
That was kind of the precursor to the walk around, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a walk around. It literally was a walk around, right? I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, it was a walk around. And then from there, so I was doing ministry work at the same time and coaching baseball and football at the high school that I graduated from, and I did youth work. And so one of the guys at the church who was a missionary, about half the year he was out of the country and he needed somebody to cover for him. He did mobile service out of his Willys Jeep, right?
What year was this?
Huh? What's that?
What year was that?
It was 1981.
81.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 1979. 1979. Yeah. 81 was when I graduated. Yeah, 79.
I graduated high school.
Yeah, 78 and 79. And he said, hey, I know that you know how to do the basic fundamentals. I can teach you more stuff and you could help me out here and become a mobile service guy. So I started a business, my very first business called Gene's Auto Dock, and hung a shingle in my house. And it was a bright yellow Pinto station wagon with the fake wood grain or stuff on the side.
I remember those
panels, and didn't blow up from getting hit in the rear. But yeah, all my tools went in the back, and I did mobile service for like a year and a half.
Wow!
Yeah, out of a Pinto. Yeah, it was. I even rented a hoist one time and had pulled an engine at somebody's house to do a job there. Yeah, it was great fun, and I learned a lot from. His name was Dave too, and then fast forward, because I did ministry work in there for a number of years. Fast forward to 1995, I went to work for the Campbell Automotive Group. And I'm going to simplify this. With the Campbell Automotive Group, I was a service manager, a sales manager, a salesperson, a finance manager, and a BDC manager. And it seemed like every time they were opening some new thing, they would have me run it. So I was kind of like the new thing starter for the Campbell Automotive Group. And then I went to Saturn as a corporate trainer, and went to work for Mitsubishi Motors as a sales operations specialist. After that was 2001, I believe, late 2001. And worked total 10 years for Mitsubishi Motors, all basically doing in-dealership training and coaching and consulting and launching new dealers. And then I started DelRae Learning with my wife, DelRae Learning and Development, back in 2019, and have done a bunch of virtual stuff since then. So that's pretty much the summary of my automotive career.
Wow. Well, you know what? We've shared some past. I started early on in the gas station with my buddy Lumpy, and fondly remember the ding ding and going out there. And you know what? The customer service at that time was just so advanced compared to some of the stuff we experience today, because we actually enjoyed. Oh, I helped somebody with a light that was out, a tail light that was out, or a headlight that was out. You know, it was the focus on helping people.
Right.
It wasn't. We didn't. You know, working there, I didn't care what it cost, whether it was 30 cents or if it was $5, whatever it was. It wasn't about the money. It was about somebody came in. They had a problem they didn't know they had, and you helped them fix it. And it didn't cost them a lot of money, and they went out the door happy.
Yeah, and he taught us how to sell on the drive too. So we would upsell tune-ups or oil changes or brake jobs, things like that, right there on the drive.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Got
fun.
a couple of comments here I want to get to, because sometimes they move faster than I do. Orlando Spencer, hey Paul Meijer, with you this week. Welcome, brother. Good to see you, man. And Russell B. Hill, saw him this morning at the STL call. Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Contact Eric or Joe Chambers to get on that show.
And that was their anniversary, right? That was their anniversary, right?
1-year anniversary.
Right on. Well done, guys.
They're doing great stuff in the fixed op space. We had 30 people on that call this morning.
Awesome.
So, really good. Let's see. Russ says, what a phenomenal guy. Gene, you're an amazing guy. Well, we all know that.
Thanks,
which is why he's here. Timothy Wilson, look at you two rock stars. I see Gene.
You must be talking about Pete the Perch.
I'm thinking. Mike Vogel, Paul Foodie Spielberg, and Gene Indiana Jones, two of my favorite guys. Mike?
You too, Mike. Amen, man.
We got a special spot for you, brother. Mark Williamson, hey guys. He's a great fan of the show. Always here. Jeff Daniels, two of the best at what they do. Evening, gents. Oh, man. We're not going to be able to get through the door here with these compliments, man. Russell says, amen, they sure are. Mike Vogel, Gene can talk the talk and walk the walk when it comes to fixed stops. Respect in all caps. I'll vouch for that. Michael Barrage, good evening, gentlemen. Kurt Von Annen, Gene Paul, two of my favorite guys. I just had Gene on my podcast.
Yeah, that was fun.
Gene's making the rounds.
Yeah.
And speaking of SDL, Eric himself, good evening. Two great minds on a Sunday evening. Love it.
Hey,
thank you. Gary Lanham, Gene, didn't know you drove a Woody wagon.
How are things up in Alaska? He's still covered in snow, Gary. He's the coffee guy. He's got the coffee all the time.
Oh, okay. So the Pinto Woody wagon, would that be like a faux Woody wagon?
Yeah, it was fake. It was just vinyl, vinyl stick on.
I think you polished it with the mayonnaise, I think was the trick, or something crazy like that. And speaking of LDL, the other half of SDL, Joe Chambers. Hey,
right
guys,
on.
so glad to watch this. You guys crush it. Thank you, my friend. Rachel Swanson, my dad was one of the first Saturn employees. They were very progressive, very cool. Yeah, it was like
awesome.
Unlike any other, right? There was the one price. It was a whole nother way of doing business. And it's funny. There's a lot of stores today doing one price. Well, maybe not today because of the market and all.
Yeah.
One price that keeps adjusting upward, right?
All right. Hey, it's still one price, right?
David Lucas, good. Hi, Gene and
hey,
Joe
David.
Chambers, Lumpy. So where did we decide that was from? Leave It to Beaver?
I was thinking it was Leave It to Beaver because I could hear Tony Dow, the older brother, go, hey, Lumpy, come on, Lumpy. But I'm not sure. That was my old man memory.
All right. If there's any old guys out there in the audience and you remember where this Lumpy character was from, not the Lumpy that I went to high school with and worked at Andy Covell's gas station, but the actual television Lumpy, that'd be great to know. So we can put that to rest.
Somebody knows.
Terry Turline, Gene, the king of all media, Girdley. What a great guest.
Oh.
he's only saying it because it's true, Gene, and you know that.
Well, I appreciate the shout out, and Terry is going to be with us in Vegas at NADA. He and Compass VSC and Russ Mann and Justin Searle all going to be there. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Kurt Von Annen says, I ran the Ding Ding starting at age 11. Old dude in town let me pump for tips. Learned a lot just being there.
Nice.
I think a lot of us have that in our background. And
yeah.
Sean Butler, happy Sunday, guys. Paul and Gene are bound to share valuable insights. Thank you. Russell Hill says, yes, it was. And Russ VSC Man, otherwise known as The Man.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gary Lanham, warmer and snow melting. So he's in Alaska, you said?
Yeah, he's in Alaska. Moved from, I think, North Carolina. He was there for a lot of years.
Okay. Yeah. He just confirmed it was Leave It to Beaver.
Okay. All right.
As did Andy Papenhagen. Yes, Beaver, Umley, Rutherford.
Well, I'm glad I still got something in here. It's not all gone yet.
Now, for those that don't know, Gene wrote a book, The Miles and the Markers, where he talks about the valuable lessons learned in his life.
Yeah.
So you might want to pick up a copy. Where can they get a copy? Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's only on Amazon. And if you go there, type in my name in the search box. Because if you type in the Miles and the Markers, other stuff comes up. So type in my name, Gene Girdley, and the book will come up. You can get it on Kindle version or a copy like that. And if you're going to NADA and you bring it with you and you meet up with us at the Spring Hill Suites Marriott in the Las Vegas Convention Center, there you go. I'll sign it for you.
You'll get one of those.
Yeah.
But definitely bring it with you. Let's see here. Daryl
Thank you for that plug. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. It's, we support each other. That's what friends do. That's what Fixed Ops brothers do.
Yeah. It's fun.
Daryl says, looking forward to this. Andy Papenhagen, Leave It to Beaver, Lumpy. And Tim Wilson put the link up to that. And Joe Chambers, fantastic read. Love my signed copy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Certainly a great book. I've learned a few things from the book. Awesome. All right. Sometimes I fall behind, and then it's like 500 I have to get caught up on. So I'm all caught up.
That's great.
That's cool. Now, what's interesting that when the world shut down, basically, and the whole prospect of in-person events came to a screeching halt.
Right.
People struggled then.
Yeah.
I mean, they struggled big time because I've attended more than my fair share of online events.
Right.
And I got to tell you, a lot of them, most of them were not good. I had one I attended. After the first speaker, the show shut down. It's supposed to be a several-hour show. The show shut down, and an email came out, hey, thanks for attending.
Yeah.
And I'm emailing. I said, guys, hello. It's not over.
Yeah.
So it was pretty bad. But you just, like, without skipping a beat, you just ran with it, man. Tell us a little bit about your background insofar as being on camera.
Yeah.
Your mom was in theater.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that history.
Yeah. So there's two advantages that I had with respect to being able to make the transition. And the first one was my background. As you said, my mom was an entertainer. She was a country singer, and she had a lot of opportunities to sing in places where there were a lot of well-known people and a lot of cameras around, big stages. I was behind the scenes in the stage area. I got to go to Universal Studios when they filmed an episode of McCloud with Dennis Weaver, and met Britt Eklund, who was one of the Bond girls in one of those movies. and I'm just a little kid right at the time. But she also pulled some strings to get me and my sister on a show called Engineer Bill's Shake Shop. And we got to dance and on the, it was a cartoon afternoon kids show. So being in front of cameras was kind of a natural thing for me because I had grown up around it. It was very familiar. I wasn't afraid to get on camera and talk to the camera and stuff like that. I also had the opportunity to do radio work. So when I was doing ministry work, I would do weekend shows for K-Wave Radio, which was Calvary Chapel's radio station out of San Clemente at the time. And they did music and they did talk shows and they did Saturday morning kids shows. So I voiced some of the little kids on the Saturday morning kids shows, did some creative voices and things like that. And so I got real comfortable doing a lot of unique things. And then I also did a call-in talk show at another radio station called KBRT. Yeah. And that show was called The Higher Perspective. And we would take calls and I was the host and we had a guest, or we had the main lead guy on the show. His name was J. Paul Swamidas at the time. Rest in peace, J. Paul. And so I had all this exposure to interactive, live video. I had done some editing prior to that. I had been on camera with Mitsubishi, because if you look in the background over here, okay, yeah. You'll see it just kind of rotating stuff, and you'll see some still photos of me with a gal inside of a car, and you'll see me standing in front of the Lancer Evolution when it first came to the United States. I did all the videos for that, got to drive it out at Danny McKeever's racing school, and so I've had a lot of exposure to media, and that made it kind of natural for me to just do it. Okay. Now, what I didn't have a lot of exposure to was virtual events. Yeah. But since I had done, I guess, I don't know, everything 10 years webinars, right? I've been doing webinars. So most of you who are in retail will really appreciate this, because we live on that 30-day cycle, right? And so the OEMs, they don't want me as the trainer in the dealership the last week of the month. They want them to focus on selling, closing things out, all that kind of stuff. So what did we do the last week? We did webinars, okay? So I had 10 years basically, up through 2019, right when COVID hit, of doing webinars, a week's worth of webinars every single month for 10 years in a row. So I was basically ready to go. I'd been familiar with Global Meet and, some of the other more popular web tools that were out there, and kind of knew my way around them. So it was kind of natural. And that's how it happened that I was able to just make the transition.
It's interesting because so many people are afraid to get on camera. Yeah. Are afraid to get on a microphone. Yeah. When there really is nothing to it. I've done, like you, I've done thousands of videos, most of them live videos, and I drag people on camera that don't want to be on camera. Yeah. And I put them at ease this way. I said, the worst thing that could happen is that you look really stupid to a bunch of people, but generally in a few years, that'll all pass. People are very forgiving. They'll forget about all that in time. I said, oh, well, maybe that's not the most reassuring thing.
Well, look, the key is, what's the content? If it's great content, some of the other stuff can be, not so good. Yeah. The backgrounds and all that, they're nice. I like to make them look good. I like to be creative and do that kind of thing, but it's not as necessary as having good people with good content and great knowledge. And the other part, and I'll tell you right now, that this is the one thing I learned that's probably more important than the video, and it's the sound. Because if the video freezes or the latency occurs and you get out of sync, a lot of people just sit their phone down and they're not watching anyway. But if the sound is good, then you still have a show. Right. So I've learned that the sound is probably the biggest thing. It's really a priority.
Now, when you did the voiceovers, was it cartoon voices or regular people voices? What kind of voiceovers did you do?
well, I talk like this, like a crazy little kid out there, do stuff like that. Or, sometimes I talk like I'm from the South or from Texas, or even if I've got some kind of an Aussie accent, if it's not really Aussie, it sounds like it from little kids, right? So I just jump into different characters all the time. And the thing is, Paul, that I was actually pretty shy when I was a kid. I was really shy.
You?
Yeah, I was. I was shy.
When was that?
Yeah, when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, because, I'm put out there into all these people that are pretty well known, in the country western music scene, and I'm like this little kid, and they're all doing their thing, and I was just kind of shy. It was a little bit unnerving. So what I ended up doing, and this is one of those little known things about me, is I would memorize comedy routines. So I would memorize Bill Cosby routines, George Carlin routines, Cheech and Chong routines. And so when I get into a place where there was a group of people and we'd be sitting around, I was uncomfortable, I just launch into a routine. And I just make everybody laugh. And so I was the hero of the party, right? Just doing these, good evening, sports fans. Bit Bar here in the Bit Bar Spotlight, bipping them up and barfing them right back at you. If you remember George Carlin, right? So I was a class clown, and I got voted by my high school senior class most likely to revert back to a child. So.
Well, life does come full circle. So
it does. Yeah. So
it still happens, Gene. Well, yeah. I do a couple of voices, but maybe I could do one for you.
Yeah, do it. Let's hear it.
Remember this character? Tell me who this character is. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Again, nothing up the sleeve. Presto.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Got to get me another hat.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Hope you really like. Yes, you got it.
Bullwinkle, yeah. Good job, man.
Thank you. Jeff Daniel says creative content and comfort. Jeans, 3 C's. Joe Chambers says.
I like that.
I like that. Jeans, 3 C's.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Jeff.
Joe Chambers says depth of talent. Loving it. It's interesting because if you know material and something changes, you just have to shift with that change. And I'll give you an example. We one of our businesses is a yarn business. Mm-hmm. We were a local mobile yarn business. People would hire, the bus would come, kind of like a painting party at people's homes or at restaurants or bars. But this was for knitters.
Right.
So that was the model, local, in person, touch, feel, see. And then, so we bought all this inventory for a trade show that was coming up, and then COVID hit. Wow. My wife freaked out. She says, what are we gonna do? We just spent all this money on inventory and there's no show.
Right.
What are we gonna do? I said, well, kind of like you gotta pivot, right? So your message is yarn to the people. That's what we're gonna do. We did 16 hours marathon shows over 4 days and it just blew up. Now we ship yarn kits all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, UK, Canada. We've shipped to every state in the U.S. except North Dakota so far. I don't know why North Dakota hasn't bought from us yet, but the point is, it's just another way to bring the message out. And you harness that beautifully. Even simple stuff like your background there, that is so cool. You're like 10 steps above anybody else in this space.
Well, so what I can say about that is that there aren't too many people in automotive doing this kind of thing that you see behind me, but there's a lot of people doing it. And I just learned from them. Okay. So, and basically what Paul's talking about is you see the movement in the back behind me, and that's a virtual camera. Okay. So I'm using a virtual camera and I'm using my actual regular camera to feed to that program. But then that program has a video in it looping and a green screen thing in there. And I just dropped another video behind that. And then I push it out as if it's a camera. And so when I join right here on this show, I tell it to select my eCam virtual cam, and that's what it looks like. So, but that's just, look, when things went virtual, every show I asked myself this question: how can we make it better? How can we do it to be not only informative, but entertaining? Because the shows are all day, right? They were so long. It's like, let's make it at least fun for people. So I reached out to Ben Price, you know, the Australian comedian. You look in the background there and you'll see him on there doing his Arnie deep fake as it scrolls through. But he brought some entertainment to the show. And you know, I just really try to make it better for everybody else, because I am thinking about what other people are thinking. And let me just say this too, especially for those of you who may be watching and are hesitant about being on camera or on audio, doing a podcast, that kind of thing. Just do a lot of it for yourself. Just record yourself and listen to yourself and watch yourself and get used to seeing what you look like and what you sound like, because that's a big deal. People are used to hearing themselves through their own ears, but they're not used to hearing themselves through a speaker. And until you get used to that, you sound funny to yourself. And if you're looking at a camera that is maybe the reverse of how you see yourself in the mirror, you're seeing yourself differently in the recording. Do I look like that? And you're uncomfortable with it. So just do a lot of recordings of yourself, get used to it, and you'll become more comfortable with it. So,
yeah, the first few are always the hardest, but I promise you, a few thousand later,
yeah, a few thousand.
It's second nature. You could at any given time go live and do a video anywhere about anything on a moment's notice. I mean, that's literally how easy it gets. And so many people, and I have to give my hats off here to our friend Russ Mann.
Yeah.
Because I remember early on, Russ wasn't too keen on being on camera. And Russ has done some really, really good videos.
Yeah.
And he just got out of his comfort zone. He just said, you know what? I need to do this. I want to do it. And he just did it. So the best advice I can give people too is just do it.
And let me add something else, that it's not just do it, but it's look at the impact that Russ has made. Think of this whole month, how many people we've seen doing the 22 days, 22 push-ups, because Russ challenged them and said, let's do this for our veterans. And what a huge impact and awareness Russ has made. And all the other people, a lot of them on this show watching and chiming in, who have done that in support of the veterans. And that's so important right now, man. You know, we're here having fun and we're laughing, and the world is in crisis, not just still from COVID, but over in Ukraine. And veterans every day still facing depression and suicide. And you can make such a huge difference if you have a message. Don't just really think about what it is that you're doing to help others, and that can get you past that fear of being on camera.
Yeah. Do it for somebody else. I mean, there's no better reason than to do that. And I think that might help some people ease into it a little bit better.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mike Vogel says, adaptability, Paul and Gene, with the strong arm emoji.
Yeah.
And Joe Clementi, Gene getting the Virtual Creativity Award. Oh, for sure, man. He's in a league of his own.
Thanks, man.
Russell Hill says, thanks, Gene. Great info, sir. And one of my favorite people on the planet, Mr. Robert Sebastian. Hundreds of takes indeed, until it's just a few takes. I would say, Robert, your best video is the laminator.
I got to tell you, that guy, Robert, is the most creative guy on LinkedIn. He does so many things, and he has no fear about what anybody else thinks about it. And that's why we all get the benefit of it, right? He comes out he sings, he does karate, he does the laminator, you know, awesome stuff. Thank you, Robert, for doing all that. I appreciate it. Yeah,
no, just fun stuff. I'll never forget the first time I met him. It was in Long Island at the I think it was the Game Changer conference, and I got introduced to him, and we just hit it off right from the start.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about OEMs versus dealer operations in your background.
Yeah. So I have worked for 2 OEMs directly, and then I've done a lot of work as a vendor supplier for other OEMs. So I'm pretty familiar with the operations and the things that they do. Obviously, the dealers are on a smaller scale and they are more agile because they can make decisions quickly about sales and product mix changes and things like that. If they see a special program come out, they can move their inventory around and advertise and make advertising changes quickly. So with dealerships, it's more agile. I'm not saying that is necessarily a good thing, that they always do things right, but they can move much quicker. Whereas with the OEMs, it's a process. It moves so slow. If you want to do a training program, for example, it has to go through this level and this level and this level, and everything you write has to get approved by legal, so you can't say something wrong. I remember, Paul, the first time that I ever wrote a training program for Mitsubishi Motors, it went to legal, and it came back just marked up like, what the heck is going on here? I mean, there were so many lines through, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. And I was like, okay. And so that's when I started to learn the words maybe and might and could, but never will or should. None of those all had to be eliminated. So I learned to write different for the OEMs because there were so many legal exposures out there with things. But the one consistent theme is family. I mean, there are some. Fortunately, I haven't worked for dealers that were bad dealers. I never worked. I can see them a mile away, right? It's like, I'm not going to work for them. I can count on my hands how many dealers I would actually go to work for because of their values, their ethics, their focus on employees, all of that. You know, they do things the right way. And I say 10 hands because that's just who I've seen. I know there's a lot more than that out there. And a lot of the people that are watching right now and commenting represent those dealerships. And some of them know the other side of things. But the family part of it, the fact that at our dealerships, it was very family focused. It was very much that if there was trouble with somebody in their life, we would come and support them. Somebody got sick, we would be there and fill in for them on our days off. I mean, it's just the way it was. There's not quite so much of that filling in for other people on their days off at corporate, but within your own departments, you get really attached to people. You get really close to people. And aside from the political structure of corporations, for the most part, the people in automotive, 90% of them are great people. And if there's anyone here that is watching who is thinking about a career and you haven't considered automotive, consider it. It's a great career. It's a great career. You got to find the right people, though. Just network within LinkedIn or wherever you're at and find the right people. And you know, send me a direct message if you have somebody you're interested in working for. And I probably know a little bit about them. If I don't, I can reach out and find out. So.
Yeah, no, I've had similar. I mean, the car business has been an amazing business for me. This is my 43rd year in it, and some of my best friends on both sides of the desk, you know, to this day, customers I've become really good friends with.
It's real interesting, though, what's going on with manufacturers right now because of the chip shortage, right? And seeing them have to adapt and pivot as best they can, because here's the truth of the matter. And why OEMs will do whatever they can to overload at times, and you guys have all felt this, overload dealers with inventory when things aren't selling.
No way.
Yeah,
you insinuating a dealer would dump cars on somebody?
Yeah. It's because they make money when they move metal. When they actually build and sell wholesale, that's when they make most of their money. They don't make most of their money with parts and service, right?
Right.
In fact, they lose money if they're having to make warranty claims or recalls or things like that. So it's an interesting dynamic right now going on, seeing, them trying to make their way into the used car side of things. It'll be interesting to see what. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
I've seen, at least on the local level here, I've seen a number of dealerships actually have some inventory where before it was a kind of like a barren wasteland.
Right.
Now I'm actually seeing lots of cars on dealer lots. I understand it's not like that across the country everywhere.
Right.
But I've seen
it.
It's
good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah.
But it's certainly going to change things. I'm going to get to a couple of comments here. I'm not sure if I read this one earlier. Robert Sebastian said, hundreds of takes indeed until it's just a few takes.
Yeah.
And he says, thanks for leading the way, Russ. Robert says, I am scared, but I was told to jump anyway. Lowell Wilson Sr., howdy everyone. And Jeff Daniel said, Saturday Night Live is seeing Robert next. Yeah, I think he's going to be on the other SNL, the original one, because that is one funny dude. Rachel Swanson, I love using virtual background. It also can break the ice with the potential client.
Yeah.
And Vernon Davis says, great job and great show. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Gary Lanham, L&D team's nightmare, legal and compliance and plus risk. Oh my. Now, I can't imagine you saying anything that anybody would shudder about on legal. I mean,
well,
how long does it take?
No, but for example, let's say that if I said you will get 35 miles per gallon, you can't say that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the reality, everybody knows that it all depends on how you drive, right? But you can't say something like, your forward collision mitigation will stop you in 20 feet, even though it's designed to do that. If you were not paying attention and you were driving too fast, it might not stop you in 20 feet. It might stop you in 30. So you can't say it will. Okay. So that's a legal thing that they have to protect themselves. Yeah. Those are the kinds of things.
You have to master the art of ambiguity.
Absolutely. Ambiguity. Maybe, might, could, possibly.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because a lot of the stuff, not that I watch, I've unsubscribed from so many things today, but I would recall seeing might, maybe, could, should, might.
Right.
And I said, no, unless it's concrete, unsubscribe. I don't want to hear about it, because that sounds like BS to me.
Yeah. And now they might just be doing a CYA.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. And I didn't realize that that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Joe Clementi says, right on, Gene, nothing replaces values, ethics, core values, and team engagement.
Agree with that. Thanks.
Mike Vogel, the coach, not believing that it's still a chip shortage. It's a pivot for the new car business that could be permanent.
Yeah, that's good insight. I mean, that's why I'm interested to see what is going to happen, Mike. I'm very interested.
Now, earlier you alluded to an OEM potentially jamming a bunch of cars down somebody's throat. Just take these cars, don't worry about it. We'll help you with this, or we may help you with this, that. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's the model year changes, and we just pulled support from that, but here's your payout. Have a nice life.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Before.
Now there's been talk about, this is kind of great. They could just order the cars from us. Do you think that holds any water? Or are we going to go back to too many cars? Take these cars and we'll promise you the world. What's your unofficial opinion on
that? I'm going to defer to what I know about service customers from being the director of learning at Traver. And that is that still upwards of 70%, even though they have the ability to go online and set a service appointment, they still call because they want to talk to somebody. And I think if we can, you've got the organizations out there like I'm just going to say Carter Myers, for example, just as one example. Okay. Because I know the class operation and they treat their employees great, and therefore their employees treat the customers fantastic.
Yeah.
Once you are treated that way, where someone really cares about you from top to bottom, where those follow-up calls are not ring, hi, I'm just calling to see how your car is, but hey, I'm calling because I know that your daughter had a soccer game this week. You guys were so excited about it. Tell me what happened. You engage with people because of who they are, what they love, who they love, what they like, how they live, right? And you engage with them on that level, and you send them personalized cards, and you build those relationships with them. I don't think that goes away. I think people continue to want that. In fact, I was telling my wife last night, I feel like there's going to be a pushback for human touch, a need for embracing each other again, for seeing each other face to face. I mean, it's a risk with disease out there, but it's why I'm going to Vegas live, because in the 2 years of COVID and the virtual stuff, I haven't seen face to face or met face to face most of the people that are commenting here that are saying they know me. I mean, I know them too. We interact on LinkedIn, we interact virtually, but I've never seen them face to face. And I would love to do that. And I think that people are going to long for that. And it really is, for those of us who are in training and learning and development, it really is for us to, and for those who are currently in the seats in the dealerships, for us to bring in people who want to do right for customers, and train them to have the values and the ethics and the ideas and the customer focus that we have had, because that's what's going to keep it going. That's going to make it so that nobody can say, we just need to go virtual, because it won't match. It won't match the real relationship that people can have.
What was pretty amazing was I went to Digital Dealer a few months back, and I live streamed through there on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
Yeah.
And what you talk about, the human touch, the human connection, the people that you interact with, and even the ones you don't interact with.
Yeah.
I had people come up to me, hey, Paul Meijer, it's so great to meet you. How are your knees doing?
Yeah.
People that I never met. I did not know who they were.
Yeah.
I met them at Digital Dealer.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna have an awesome time with that, because you are a rock star. Everybody knows Gene Girdley as the online king. And to your note about thank you, we have a local place called A1 Auto. And the first time I went there for service, and every time after that, they send a handwritten thank you card. The owner does that and puts the stamp on it. And it goes out into the mail.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned customer service that you just don't see in today's day and age.
Yeah. And people still love getting things in the mail. They still love it. Yeah.
Gene, this is 6 years old. I still have this.
Yeah. I've got my package of fish philosophy cards here somewhere that everybody that attends a class, I send them a handwritten card afterwards.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
A couple of comments. Let's see. Dan Hamilton, family first only. And he says, agree, Mike, lower floor plan and inventory sitting on lots. Kurt Von Annen, I used to work with a guy that repeatedly said people like to talk black and white, but what we really have here is gray area. Can we unpack that? He puts an interesting perspective on that. And Terry Turline, after all this time, I'm still learning more about you guys. Mark Williamson, too much profit floating around for OEMs and dealers to go back to inventory levels of pre-chip shortage. I'm not 100% convinced that once the chip thing is resolved, and it will be, that things aren't going to go back. Virtual is here to stay. It's never going to go away, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Live is coming back,
yeah,
but the virtual component will always be there. Because think about it. If you ask everybody who's going to NADA, right? Not everybody's going.
right.
Not everybody can go. But everybody can tune into a virtual event, especially one that's well put together, where there aren't all these hiccups and bumps and buffering issues and sound issues, or just dropped video.
Right.
So it's not going to go away, and there will always be a place for guys like you to lead the way for those companies that want to do this kind of stuff. Because let's face it, let's just be honest, not everybody can do it. We can say everybody can do it, but the reality, based on what I've seen and experienced across a vast number of meetings, not everybody can do it.
There's more to putting on a show than there's a lot behind putting on a show versus just doing a one-off broadcast or something. There's a lot to that too. There's a lot of work and preparation that goes into that too. But when it comes to a full day show, or with multiple speakers and things like that, there's a lot of writing involved. There's a lot of planning involved. Getting lights right, sound right, all of that. There's a lot to it. So, and
the platform. I mean, I've worked with you through many roundtables, over the last couple of years, right. And I've seen the amount of work that goes into that. Yeah. Not everybody is ready to tackle that type of thing.
Yeah, it just depends on what you want.
Jeff Daniels says, relatively positive, Carvana doesn't keep track of soccer games yet. But dealers need to learn from Carter Meyer's type experience. They're company owned, right? The employees.
Yeah, the individuals. Yeah. They have a vested interest.
Yeah.
I think that's really wise. Really wise.
Yeah, no, Liza over there, just an incredible person. And the work that they do and the caring that comes out of that group is
that's the word, amazing. The care. Yeah.
Mike Vogel says, Gene, I really hope you are right about the human touch. Life is all about relationships, and we need to face-to-face interactions to sustain those relationships. Oh, I fully believe that.
Yeah.
Wendy Reeves, good evening, Paul and Gene. Good evening, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Rachel Swanson says, I visited several dealers in person last week, and it was so powerful on both sides. I'm so excited for NADA 2022. Rachel, make sure that we connect out there. Would love to meet you in person. And Mike Vogel says, when our friend Don Brady was a GM, he sent handwritten thank yous to every sales and service customer.
Right on.
It's so much more personal than the printed letter from the CRM that's signed by the receptionist,
right?
Or just an email.
Yeah. Can I tell you about a phone call one time? So I get this phone call. Hi, this is Gene. And the guy happened to be named Ron. He says, hi, this is Ron. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Hey, good. I just wanted to call and thank you for sending me the birthday card. Well, you're welcome. Did you have a good birthday? Yes, I did. He goes, you remember that I didn't buy the car from you? Yeah, of course I did. You bought a Toyota, right? Yeah. Well, did the Toyota guy send you a birthday card? No. He goes, no, my friend. I said, have you even heard from the Toyota guy since you bought your car from him? No. And I said, so Ron, who are you going to buy your next car from? And he goes, Eugene.
And did he even remember the guy's name or the
That's
gal's
right.
name?
Oh yeah. No, that's because I followed up with everybody. It was the old adage until they buy or die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, I mean, that sounds kind of crude, right? Buy or die. But the thing is that because I really like people, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that my general manager, when he hired me, said, I'm going to make you number one in this store if you do one thing. I said, what? He goes, if you do your follow-up the way I teach you to, you will be number one. And I said, did you tell that to all these other people? He goes, yeah, but they don't do it. So I just did it. And third month, I was number one, and I didn't look back. So
it's not that hard.
do your
And
follow-up, everybody.
you have it in the CRM, right?
Yeah, it was. And this was the old Axe system that my dealer bought. Nowadays, you guys all have that CRM stuff. But this was the old Axe system that my dealer bought. We just put some things in. We'd click a box. After every single customer, click a box. And then we'd open it up every day, and it would pop up and say, send this card, write this email, do that phone call. And I would just do it. Just do my follow-up every day.
You're there anyway.
Yeah.
Why not make the most of it? Why not make the best of it?
Yeah. Yep.
So now let's talk about NADA because we're both doing meet and greets, and tell us about yours.
Yeah.
Time, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. So Russ Mann called me, and we just got to chatting about some things that he's doing and that I was thinking about doing. And then from there, Salt and Justin and Ev Kelly and Terry Torline got involved, and everybody has put their heads together. And we found a venue that's within walking distance of NADA. It's the Frank Sinatra Boardroom on the 8th floor at Spring Hill Suites Marriott on the LA Convention Center. And we're going to have a whole bunch of people lined up. We've only actually invited people. I think we started inviting them on Wednesday. And this is not everybody, but Ron Overs, Kaylee Filou, Ed Roberts, Mike Vogel, Michael Barrich, Service Drive Live guys, Dave Foy, Wendy Reeves, Tully Williams. They've all said yes. Glenn Lundy has said yes. And we're just scratching the surface. So we're going to be there for 2 days, Friday the 11th and Saturday the 12th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. And even if you're not on the show, all of these people are coming, and you could hang out in the hallway and say hi to everybody, take a break from NADA. And I'm really excited about it. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Now, you adjusted the time because I thought you had an earlier time before, I guess.
No, if it was earlier, it was only because on my scheduler, it scheduled it for Pacific time. And it may have shown earlier for you when it got to the East Coast.
Got it. Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be live streaming from the Driven IQ booth number 6943. We're going to have a link up shortly for that. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome.
Looking forward to seeing so many of the people that I've already met in person and meeting some of those that I didn't. Let's get to a couple more comments here. Joe Clementi says, if the process was centered on connection and less on commodity, everyone would win and the experience would be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Robert Sebastian, a virtual event is an amazing undertaking. You are the master of it, Gene.
Thank you.
Again, he's only saying that because it's true. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put that up because it is true. Jared Kalfas from Black Book, great show. Thank you, Jared. Always great to see you here, my friend. And
Thank
Mike Vogel says, Joe Clementi, 100% accurate. Wendy Reeves, buy or die, cold or sold, LOL.
Yeah. That's another way.
Oh, man, cold or sold. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Unintended.
But there's a real BDC person at heart, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Wendy's great. Robert Sebastian says ACT was awesome. And Wendy said 10 PST and 11 MST, which is Las Vegas. Oh. Oh, my God. I feel so silly.
Las Vegas is Pacific time.
No, here's where I feel silly.
Why?
Because you talk to so many people constantly, over and over, and Rachel just reminded me, Paul, I'm with Driven IQ, so I'll see you at the booth.
Awesome.
I got a little bit of water on that one.
That's awesome. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for all the kind words. I appreciate it.
Joe Clementi says, hoping to connect at NADA. Absolutely, Coach Joe. And Wendy Reeves says, booth 6943 for Paul. Frank Sinatra Boardroom, 8th floor, Spring Hill Suites, Marriott for Gene. Yes,
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Frank Sinatra. You're
Frank
gonna
Sinatra.
do it your way.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. Like I said, looking forward to seeing so many people there.
Yeah.
DelRae Learning.
Yeah.
How can we benefit from associating and getting to know DelRae Learning?
Yeah, well, DelRae Learning is our company, and we do virtual events for automotive. We've done other types of virtual events. I do training, and I do development work. I recently wrote an entire curriculum for Stellantis that has been being delivered over the past year. So I write, I develop, I produce, edit. We produced some show opens for some clients, with VFX, special graphics. So we do all of that stuff. If somebody is interested in, maybe you just need a webinar, or if you need live training, I do that. I haven't come to dealerships in a while, but if your dealership needs process and culture training is what I focus on a lot. And when I say process, that means how to sell in the service drive, how to sell, in your dealership, new cars, used cars, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit me up. You can go to the website and my phone number is there. My email is there, but it's just my first initial last name at gmail.com is the easiest one. And 949-280-5034. That's 949-280-5034.
And they are assured to get a top rate production.
Yeah, if that's what they want, I can certainly do an entire virtual event and produce it and direct it and all of that. So
whether it's 20 people or 2,000 people,
yeah,
you can get it done.
Yep, I can get it done.
Now, I also understand you're getting an MBA.
Oh yeah, I'm getting an MBA through Haroon Ventures MBA program. And he's actually the guy who's responsible for me being on LinkedIn.
Really?
I read his book, 101 Things You Don't Learn in MBA School. He actually taught the MBA program at Cal State and decided that there was too much fluff in the program and narrowed it down to a year. So my wife and I are both in it. And the reason that we jumped to it is because I've owned my own business for a long time, but there's a lot of things in business that I just don't know. And I want to know it. So just like virtual events, I want to get better at business. So we're in it.
Always learning.
Always be learning. Always be learning.
Kaizen.
Kaizen. Yeah, that's right.
Guys, we're up there in age. We're a little older than some of the young bucks on here. But guess what? Every day we're schooling and learning.
Yeah.
And taking on new things that maybe before didn't exist, but we're learning it because we're shifting with the times as the technology changes.
Yeah.
You hear too many people complain about, oh, this industry's out or that job's no more.
Yeah.
Hey, it's evolution, right?
Yeah.
There's no dinosaurs anymore and nobody really cares. We have to evolve with the time. As old industries go out, guess what? New industries make their way back in. And the people that are not afraid to embrace, to learn, and to go out there and, hey, look, make mistakes if we have to, because that's how you learn.
Right.
Right? If you don't make the mistake, if you don't take the chance, you don't take the step, you're always going to be where you are. It's never going to get any better.
You're absolutely right, Paul.
So when you say you were voted most likely to revert back to a child.
Yeah.
That inquisitive nature of the child
Yeah.
has never left you, me, or us, or the people that are always looking to get better at what we do and to learn new things.
And because I have 5 granddaughters and another grandchild on the way right now, so they keep me young, right? I love playing with them. I mean, they do. They keep me young. They love it when I go, take my iPhone and I use one of the emoji characters like the unicorn, and I put a voice behind it, and I move my head and talk to it and tell them good night from Grandpa, you know, and I send them this unicorn guy talking funny. They love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Gene, I can't thank you enough, man, for being on the
my
show.
pleasure.
And so much fun. I hope a few more people got to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes of Gene Girdley.
Mm-hmm.
And looking forward to seeing you out in Las Vegas. It's been a little while since I last saw you. What, a couple of years?
Yeah, it has been a few years. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but
yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for all your support, for being there for us and for me. Whenever anything goes weird, you read it online and you call me right away. Are you okay, Gene? So I appreciate the love, and from all of you too, who've supported me, bought my book, and call me and support my content. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Just a couple last minute comments before we wind it down. Mark Williamson, great show, guys. Gene, thank you for sharing your story. Awesome. And Gary Lanham, older is great. Paul, free coffee at McDonald's. Now, if there was a Mickey D's in Bethel, Arkansas, and
Alaska.
Alaska. Joe Chambers, great show. Thanks so much. Michael Weldon, see you low in Vegas. Wendy Reeves, see you in LV. Great show, guys. Thank you very much. Have a successful week and look forward to seeing you guys in Las Vegas. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.